Hi everyone, it is time to talk to you about project number 4, image manipulation. This is the project that we will be completing exclusively in Photoshop, and you'll see in Blackboard, under projects, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see project number 4, image manipulation. You'll see I've included some informational sheets to help you understand how to complete this project. And then you'll also see that I've got a separate folder with examples. Okay, I've already opened up both of these sheets, and you'll see, per usual, I always have a document explaining to you uh, in written form exactly what your project should be and what it should look like. And then I include a spec sheet. Okay, so you have a really clear understanding of how to put it together visually. So first and foremost, just going back to the description, project number 4, here I call it image development, same thing. You'll see the description is that students will demonstrate knowledge of different Photoshop tasks to manipulate a single image and present 3 different outputs. Okay, what I want you to focus on is you're going to start with one single image, and then you're developing 3 really unique, different, distinct outputs of that image. So if you start with someone like Johnny Depp in real life, the 3 different outputs will be Johnny Depp in any of his roles. Okay, and in any movie that he's in, he does not look like Johnny Depp. He looks like 3 really distinct characters. The objectives of this, of course, are unique, distinct, and diverse development of images. And I really want you to focus on using an assortment of different Photoshop techniques. Some of the ones that we'll be talking about during the rest of the course are things like adjustments, filters, how to composite different pieces into your image. We'll be playing with blending modes and layer styles. And it's absolutely fine to seek out Photoshop tutorials. I actually encourage that. If you are really comfortable with the program and you have an idea for something that you don't know how to create. So, for instance, perhaps you'd like to add a fiery effect to an image. You can go out and find a picture of fire and try to composite that into your image and try to make it work. But more often than not, someone has already had this idea and they've already developed a tutorial for it. So if you do a search, Photoshop tutorial, creating fire, you'll likely find a video where someone breaks it down for you. Okay. Again, I encourage that. I think it's another avenue for you to develop further skills. It encourages your creativity, and honestly, it really helps develop your work further where it's actually a joy for me to grade. I see some really fun and exciting things from time to time, so please go out and search for things if you'd like to. Okay. The presentation guidelines for this project, again, this would have been a physical project if we were meeting in real life, so you would have been printing out these pictures and applying them to a board. But I've adjusted the expectations here, and you'll see that we're doing this in Illustrator, or actually we're doing it in Photoshop. I always think Illustrator when I think artboard, but we're creating a document or an artboard in Photoshop at 24 inches by 10 inches. Okay, each of the images that you'll be developing will be at 6 inches by 6 inches. You'll be applying it to your artboard with 2-inch borders around the top, bottom, left, and right. And then you'll have 1-inch output spacing between each of your images. Okay. The other component of this project is that you need to document your work. So you need to be taking notes as you process your images, thinking about writing down things like, I applied this filter, I altered the color here, I applied some kind of adjustment, whatever the case may be. I need you to document the steps. And the ideal here is that I can read through those steps and feel confident that if I wanted to recreate your image, I probably could. Okay. And we'll talk more about that closer to the due date. But if you get started on this early, just make sure that you're writing down your steps. Okay, as usual, you always see where your points are coming from down there in the evaluation. You get 20 points just for following the basic project specs. So set up your sizing correctly, follow the guidelines for the layout. If this all looks extremely neat and professional, 20 points, okay? You get 20 points for each of the images that you produce. So 20 points times 3 is 60. So you're going to see that most of your points are coming from the creative work that you put out on this project. And then 20 points come from the documentation. So again, please make sure you're writing down those details. It's easy, to kind of assume that, oh, I'll remember what I did. But often I'll catch little things. You didn't note that there had to be some kind of color change, or there had to have been some kind of filter applied that you haven't notated. So again, please take notes. Make sure that you're not forgetting to include those in your documentation. All right, I'll be back in just a moment with some examples, and we'll talk through what worked really well and what didn't.